Genocide is defined as deliberate murder of a whole group or race of people. It is often referred to as ethnic cleansing. Historically, genocide as a word came into existence in 1944 after the Holocaust, which is a carnage by Hitler called the final solution in 1933. The United Nations defined genocide as any of the following actions committed with intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. The United Nations definition states, killing members of a group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of a group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction, in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, or forcibly transferring children of a group to another group. In November 1999, the quiet town of Odi in Bayelsa State, Nigeria, became the center of one of the most brutal military operations in the nation's history. The Nigerian military launched a devastating assault, leaving Odi in ruins and sparking outrage across the country and around the world. Hi guys, welcome to Afroverse Story. On today's episode, we try to uncover the full story behind the invasion of Odi. What led to it, what really happened on ground, and why it remains one of the darkest chapters in Nigeria's modern history. Let's find out what happened. Historically, the Odi genocide occurred in a place called Odi in Bayelsa State, 1999. Bayelsa is one of the major oil-producing states in the country, and indeed it is located in the south-south geopolitical zone in the country. The army invasion and onslaught of the town was not the first of its kind. There was a protest that turned deadly in the town of Umechem River State. This was the first major documented military repression on the region. The military invasion happened within 20th and 31st of October 1990 as a result of the protests by youth of the communities to demand for basic social amenities. Share officials alerted the law enforcement agencies over the protests and demands of the youth, who were alleged to be armed with guns and machetes. A report by an international group on the military repression writes, on 31st October 1990, community members says that a contingent of Nigerian mobile police attacked the protesters and began shooting indiscriminately. Around 80 were killed and 495 houses burned. Similarly, the genocide at Odi was an incessant occurrence in the region because of the social justice, economic deprivations, corruption, decaying social infrastructure backwardness under the government, which in turn made the youths of the region to become active survivalists and militants. In his words, the author of the book, Oil Wars in the Niger Delta, 1849 to 2009, Tekena Nitoye Terminal, opines, a few pockets of unrest from Major Isaac Adaka Boro's military misadventure in February-March 1966, through the brutal deaths by hanging of the Ogoni 9 in November 1995 to the Odi Massacre in November 1999 would suggest that the Niger Delta was not a complete haven of peace, but it was neither a den nor a cell of terrorists. Although there have been incessant arrests in the Niger Delta region from the submission of Terminal, the genesis of 1999 massacre or the Odi genocide is often disheartening. This indeed was due to the fact that the genocide occurred mainly as a retaliation of the killings of some policemen and the men of the Nigerian army who were asked to forestall law and order in the community. Basically, the major causes of the Odi genocide happened when the deaths of some men of the Nigerian police force were widely reported in the town of Odi in Bayelsa State. Initially, corruption, which had engulfed the country and which is an engraved societal cankerworm, is the main reason for underdevelopment and unemployment all over the nation. This led to the rise of ethnic militia groups like the Ebesu Boys of Africa, who had their base in Yenegua, the capital of Bayelsa State in Nigeria. The Ebesu Boys of Africa were not under any political control before the election of 1999, but due to the manipulations by desperate politicians, their assistants were sought out for 1998-1999 general elections. After the election victory of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the state and at the federal level respectively, the boys became abandoned and unemployed. Hence, they became a nuisance in the state. perpetrating all sorts of nefarious activities in the capital. This led to their displacement from Yenagoa by the men of the Nigerian police force on the order of the then governor of the state, Chief Dipriye Anamisiaga. Invariably, these disgruntled lawless youths were chased out of Yenagoa to Odi community where they continued their nefarious acts of criminality. Furthermore, at this time, violence broke up in Ajegunle area of Lagos State, where it was alleged that the Oduas People's Republic (OPC) had killed some residents of the area who were of Ijaw origin. Mr. Ken Niwega, a native of Odi community and the leader of the Ebusu Boys of Africa, using the slogan of Ijaw Youth Council, manipulated the crisis in Lagos to gain more jobless youths and planning to invade Lagos State to avenge the deaths as alleged of some of the Ijaw people at Ajegunle in Lagos State. According to Environmental Rights Action, 7 policemen, led by a Yoruba man named Thomas Jokotola, the same police officer who led out the team that chased the boys in Yenagoa, came to investigate the impending revenge mission in Lagos State by Ken's boys. The whereabouts of the Thomas-led men of the Nigerian police force became unknown until their corpses were later found. Their kidnapping and killing, however, happened between 4th and 10th of November 1999. Furthermore, the illicit events that took place at Odi community in November 1999, according to Amnesty International annual report, stated in January of the year, when soldiers shot dead up to 20 people in and around the town of Yenagoa, the capital of Bayelsa State, which according to the report was as a result of the call by Ijaw groups of the military and oil companies to leave the Ijaw territories. Warrior Boajoko, a 14-year-old boy, was among those killed by men of the Nigerian army in Oloibiri, Kaina, while some elderly men were arrested and tortured to the disheartening level of coercing them to drink their urine. The onslaught ceased a little till the genocide in November, as the Amnesty International maintained the following annual report of entries. In November, at least 40 people including soldiers were reportedly killed in the town of Odi, near Yenagoa, after an armed group freed on the soldiers seeking to arrest them, and the armed forces responded by bombarding the town. The armed group had alleged to have murdered 12 police officers. A Senate committee, which visited a week later, reported that the town had been razed and that several corpses remained in the streets. The authorities provided no information about those killed or arrested, and no inquiry was instituted. If you find this video worthwhile, please take out some time to smash a like and subscribe to the channel, as it goes a long way in supporting our efforts. Thank you. Now let's get back to the video. The genesis of the Odi Massacre continued with the alleged kidnapping of another 4 soldiers, while another 4 were alleged to have been decapitated before the 10th of November 1999. Similarly, another 3 police officers and civilians were reported to have been killed. All these allegations were part and parcel of the letter of the then President Olusegun Obasanjo, dated 10th November 1999, press/44, to the then Executive Governor of Bayelsa State, Chief Dipriye Anamisiaga. The President registered his displeasure over the killings in Bayelsa State and equally ordered the Governor of the state, after the National Security Council meeting, to immediately arrest the perpetrators as at 8th of November 1999. The Governor was equally informed by the Council that if he failed to arrest the suspected killers, a state of emergency will be invoked on the state within 40 days. In the letter, the President writes in paragraph 5 and last 2 paragraphs as follows. These killings, from reports reaching me, were committed in broad daylight. It should be quite easy, therefore, to arrest the killers with whom it is reported that your government was holding negotiations before the killing of the policemen, and those with whom your government had negotiated in the past. They are criminals. I give you 14 days within which to restore the law and order in your state and effect the arrest and prosecution of all those responsible for those killings, failing which I will set in motion and process to declare state of emergency in Bayelsa State. On my part, no stone will be left unturned to protect law-abiding citizens everywhere in Nigeria. Nevertheless, the 14-day ultimatum had not expired and precisely remained 4 days more, when the men of the Nigerian army, numbering about 2,000, arrived in Odi with the following arsenals on 20th of November 1999. 27 5-ton vehicles loaded with troops, 2 pieces of 105mm artillery guns, 4 armored personal carriers, and 3 81mm mortar guns, on an operation that had been tagged Hakuri 2. A civil society report on the Odi genocide gave the following submissions. 4 days to the expiration of the 2-week ultimatum, President Obasanjo ordered killer soldiers into Odi and the surrounding communities. The east-west road was blocked by the Orashi River at Mbiama Junction and by the River Niger at Petani. Thereafter, it was war and terror in Odi. On the part of the federal government, the Vice President Atiku Abubakar, in an interview with foreign news media, submitted as follows. The fact that we have to run a constitutional and democratic government does not diminish the capacity of the government to deal decisively with hoodlums, arsonists and terrorists wherever they are found. Anyone who breaks the law will be made to face the consequences. Ironically, the military operation in the town of Odi lasted for almost 3 weeks, where hundreds of thousands of people, including women and children, lay dead. Countless were injured, traumatized, and displaced property worth billions were destroyed. The soldiers were said to have left different graffiti on the wall of buildings for the survivors. The graffiti were with charcoal, chalk, or even stones. On the broken walls of Odi, among these graffitis are words like, "As from today, Odi people, if you see soldiers or mopo or soldier, try and touch one of them. Again, you will see what will happen by soldiers. Idiots, your Egbesu no Sevuna. Where is Egbesu power? Shame on your juju," referring to Egbesu. Odi, where is your pride? Who born Odi? Na Egbesu Odi. Don't play with fire. Soldiers go burn you. Oh. Next time there will be no tree left. Silence, no noise, Egbesu is dead. Learn a lesson, visit Odi. Odi is no more. Gone to the past, pity. Hakuri Hakuri, and say no to Egbesu, yes to soldiers, to mention but a few. Just like many other fracasses all over the world, the official estimates of the casualties from the genocide of the military invasion at the side of the government, local communities as well as the Nigerian media were not tallying. The government put the official death between 25 to 30. Media estimate was about 1,000 plus, while a joint civil society and non-governmental organizations submitted the total number of 11 compounds were destroyed, 109 families affected, 1,460 male casualties, and 1,023 female casualties, equaling the total number of 2,483 casualties. The aftermath of the military invasion and genocide on Odi community is quite unfortunate. The notorious scene is pitiable, described by some civil non-governmental organizations which visited the area soon after the incident, says, and I quote, "We saw so many corpses on the roadside as we drove along. The body of an old man, still clutching firmly to a copy of the Holy Bible, lay dead decomposing in a pond behind the Anglican church. A chilly testimony to the scorched-earth objective of the invading troops, contrary to the official declared objectives of the mission, to arrest hoodlums who allegedly killed some policemen. So complete was its destruction that crops were raised, yam barns were burnt, garri processing plants were willfully wrecked, canoes were set ablaze, and every house in the entire community, with the exception of the first bank, a community health center, and the Anglican church, no aspect of the community's existence was spared. We saw no single livestock, poultry or other domestic animals, except a stray cat. The community's 60,000 inhabitants had fled into the forest or been arrested or killed. Only a few thoroughly traumatized old women, old men and children could be around, some of them suffering from fractures and other injuries sustained while trying to escape from advancing soldiers. We also received information that the soldiers were particularly contemptuous of looks. Several library and educational materials targeted and destroyed. The Odi military invasion was nothing but a mission to wipe out its people by the federal government and its cohorts of the foreign oil companies because of the killing of the Nigerian police force and army based on general perspectives. In Odi area, 4 policemen on legitimate security duties were killed. When the news of the killing of policemen broke, soldiers were sent on similar security duties and 5 of them were killed too. I called the state governor, Dipriya Solomon Peter Alamisiaga, to say that as the chief security officer of the state, he had the responsibility to assist in locating the killer of both the policemen and the soldiers, impressed on him that there was no way that I or he could carry out maintenance of law and order within his state or any within the country if security men or legitimate assigned security duties were killed with impunity and the killer got away free. I appealed to the governor to use his local knowledge to ferret out information to track down some, if not all, the killers. He retorted that there was nothing he could do. I then instructed the commander of the military to use all necessary intelligence to investigate and arrest some of the killers of the policemen and soldiers. The security men and women to whom everybody runs for help in the event of armed robbery or murder must be given confidence to help victims and complainants, going where they must be treated with impunity and nobody, even the commander-in-chief, caring. I must retain the ability to be able to send security men to anywhere their services were needed, and for me to be sure that they will obey, knowing that they will be fully backed. If we connived at the killing of security men in legitimate pursuit of their security duties without assurances of protection or protective reaction, we will all be unsafe and insecure. Impunity was therefore not be encouraged in any form or circumstance. I believe in human rights just as I believe in citizens' obligation and sanctity of life, and therefore, impunity is taking people's lives, which only God alone can create, must not be condoned. On a similar note, the then Nigerian Minister of Defense, General Theophilus Danjuma, while addressing the ministerial conference of the Economic Community of West African States (ECOWAS), stated, and I quote, "The Operation Hakuri II was initiated with the mandate of protecting lives and property, particularly oil platforms, flow stations operating rig terminals and pipeline refineries and power installations in the Niger Delta." In a press release issued by Odi Community on December 1999 titled "Help, We Are Finished," the community condemned the murder based on hindsight, believed and submitted that the heinous crime committed by few hoodlums does not justify the unprecedented bombardment of the community by the army. To the community, the killings and bombardments were orchestrated by the Nigerian government in order to terrorize the people of the Niger Delta, break their spirits, and finally occupy their territory for easy access to natural oil and gas gifts. In the press released, the community writes, and I quote, "Reports reaching us are to the effect that Odi community of about 50,000 inhabitants had been completely razed to the ground. Houses that managed to withstand the artillery bombardment were set on fire by the conquering federal troops, and hundreds of innocent men, women and children, who were clearly not criminals, had been killed either by shelling of the town or from bullets of the rampaging troops. The over 70-year paramount ruler of the town, Bolo Efeki, was shot in the leg. Several civilians were wounded with gunshot wounds and are hiding in the bush without medical attention. Over 20,000 refugees are hiding in the bush without food and clean water, and thus exposed to the threat of outbreak of epidemics." Similarly, the remarks of the then Senate President Chuba Akadebo when he visited the town after the military operation justified that there was truly a genocide. The facts speak for themselves. No need for speech, as there is nobody to speak with. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I would really love to know your thoughts about the invasion of Odi and the massacres that happened there. What do you think about the army's handling of that situation? And why do you think it wasn't treated as a genocide and subsequent punishment dished out for its perpetrators? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to smash a like and subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification button to get more content like this about African history. Is it Nando from Afriverse Historic? See you in the next one.